You ever get that feeling that there's more? More to you? More to your own potential than you're actually using? Like there's some kind of hidden power just locked away, right out of reach? Well, today, we're going to explore the code that runs our lives. And maybe, just maybe, find the keys to unlock it. So let's just start with this one big question. I mean, we all like to think we're in the driver's seat of our own minds, right? But what if we're not? What if our mental operating system was programmed by someone else for a purpose that isn't even our own? And that leads us right into our first big idea here, the coded reality. This is the idea that we're all living inside a system, a set of invisible rules and programs that are shaping how we think and what we can achieve, from a very, very early age. And this quote, man, it just nails it. It suggests that our whole modern education system, which really came out of the Industrial Revolution, it wasn't built to create these amazing, independent, creative thinkers. Nope, it was designed to do one thing really well: produce obedient workers who follow the instructions and fit nicely into the system. All this programming, it can lead to what the speaker Owen Cook calls the derp state. And you probably know this feeling. It's when you're just stuck, kind of numb, going through the motions. You're completely on autopilot, you're avoiding the tough questions, you're dodging any real personal challenges. Because let's be honest, it's just easier that way. It's like a comfortable cage, but it's still a cage. Okay, so if we're running on some pre-written code, who wrote it? Who are the programmers? That brings us to our next section, the invisible influencers. These are the forces, both inside and out, that could be pulling the strings and shaping our reality. So our sources point to two very different kinds of influencers. On one hand, you've got the psychological stuff, neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. It basically says our behaviors are just learned programs coded through language. And the good news is they can be rewritten. But then there's this other idea, a purely biological one, that physical parasites can actually hijack a host's behavior and personality to help themselves survive. Two totally different theories on what could be pulling our strings. But what if the best system to model ourselves after wasn't man-made at all? What if there's this ancient, incredibly intelligent network that's been right under our feet this whole time? This is where we get to the really big idea, nature's neural network. You're probably not going to believe this, but our connection to the fungal kingdom, it is deep. On the evolutionary tree, we actually split off from fungi way after plants did. Get this, we breathe the same way, oxygen in, CO2 out, we get the same kinds of infections, and we share more than half of our DNA. So in a very real, biological sense, we're basically descendants of fungi. Now, the core of this whole kingdom is something called the mycelial network. And it's not just a bunch of roots. It's this incredible underground web of information. And its structure, this is the fascinating part. It's almost a perfect mirror of the neural networks in our brains, and even the way the internet is built. And this is where it gets really wild. The mycologist Paul Stamets, he takes this a huge step further. He calls this network Earth's natural internet. And he doesn't think it's just a passive system. He believes it might actually be sentient, a conscious, living intelligence that can sense our footsteps as we walk over it. Okay, so now let's look at what certain fungi, the ones containing psilocybin, can do to our own neural network. On the left, you've got a brain in a normal state. See how it's all ordered, predictable pathways? But then on the right, whoa. Under the influence of psilocybin, the brain just lights up like a Christmas tree. You get this massive explosion in new connections, all these different parts of the brain that don't normally talk to each other suddenly linking up. It's a hyper-connected state. So this power to forge new connections, that's the whole key, right? It means we're not stuck. We can actually overwrite the old code. Which brings us to the obvious next question. How? What are the tools we can use to start reprogramming ourselves? Well, the science behind this is a process called neurogenesis. It's just a fancy word for the brain's ability to create brand new neurons and forge new pathways. It's not just about making old connections stronger. It's about building entirely new roads in your mind. You can literally reset your own neurology. And Paul Stamets himself has this absolutely unbelievable personal story about this. As a kid, he had a terrible stutter. One day, he's up in a tree during a huge thunderstorm, having a really intense psychedelic experience, and in that moment, he just focused all his energy, all his intent, and repeated to himself over and over, hundreds of times, "Stop stuttering now." The next day, his stutter was gone, for good. He believes he literally reset his own brain right then and there.
Okay, so that's a pretty intense way to do it. But here's another tool. It's called NLP modeling. The idea here is simple. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, find people who are already amazing at what you want to do. Study them. Figure out their mindset, how they talk, how they behave, and then install those patterns in yourself. It's like a conscious way to install a better program.
At the end of the day, all of these tools are pointing toward one thing, getting into what Owen Cook calls the tapped-in state. This is the total opposite of that numb derp state. This is about being present, connected to yourself, and consciously drawing energy from everything around you, the food you eat, the stuff you watch, the people you hang out with, instead of just sleepwalking through life on autopilot. All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've talked about this coded reality we're in, the things influencing us, and some powerful tools to make a change. Now it's about unlocking your code. And look, if you think this is all just fringe hippie stuff, think again. That number you see? Over 235. That's how many clinical studies are happening right now on psilocybin. They're looking at it for everything from addiction to depression. These ancient ideas are finally being backed up by modern science. Because ultimately, unlocking your potential, it isn't about finding some magic pill. It's not a one-and-done thing. It's an active, conscious process. It's about engaging with all these hidden systems, the code inside your mind, the network in nature, and the tools that are out there for real, lasting transformation. It's really a journey, right? From being just a character in a story someone else wrote to grabbing the pen and becoming the author. The systems are out there, the tools are there, so the only question left is, now that you've been shown the code, are you going to choose to rewrite it?